With so many Americans looking for work nowadays, corporate human resources departments sometimes rely on search algorithms to sift through all the candidates and see what we are doing online. And that's just the beginning of how HR is using data about us to step up their game. Joining us are Ask the Headhunter host, Nick Corcodilos. Nick is also the author of Fearless Job Hunting.
AskTheHeadhunter.com is a website that's been around for 15 years at this point, where I basically answer questions from readers who are looking for new, innovative ways, common sense ways to land a job. There's a lot of rigmarole around the job hunting process that just doesn't work. People don't realize that fewer than 10% of jobs are actually filled through job boards, through big data, if you will. What really seems to be going on is HR and employers in a lot of ways have been driving big data off a cliff. They have so automated the process, and in the process dumbed it down, that they're really not talking to people. These correlations that we look at often don't mean a whole lot because they're very indirect measurements of what people are doing.
But when you say dumbed it down, it's just the opposite of what they must think they're doing. They think they're using smart technology to figure out details of the applicants, to compare each other, or even just to, assess somebody on a scale.
I think the issue is they're looking at data about people that have nothing to do with their performance at a particular task that they'd be doing on the job. Back in 1905, when the IQ test was developed, what we learned is that the only accurate assessment you can make to predict someone's success at work or in academia is to take a look at task-specific metrics that look at what people are actually doing on a job.
A question would be, are they looking at the right metrics? And I wonder if you think this kind of hiring, or a promotion tool even, winds up biasing employers in favor or against certain groups, or if maybe it starts to weed out the bias because they're looking at these objective measures.
I think the big problem, Brian, is that in trying to solicit and attract as many people as possible, whether you're doing a metric or whether you're soliciting through a job board or through an applicant tracking system, companies complain today that they can't possibly process all the applicants they get in personalized ways. And yet they've in fact created the problem themselves, because what they're doing is soliciting and encouraging people to apply blindly to virtually every job that's available online. When you get that kind of activity going on, you naturally need some way to weed people out. If on the other hand, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, companies didn't have this problem of too many applicants. What they were doing was, in a more personal way, going out and looking where people were looking where the right people were hanging out. People ask me, where do you find your candidates? I go hang out with the people that my clients need hang out. I go get to know them, whether it's online, it could be virtually, it may be actually in person. I think what's being lost in management nowadays, managers are getting to the point where they really don't believe they have to interview anyone. They want to hire through metrics, and the false positives, the false negatives, good people are being missed because they're relying on data rather than on personal interactions.
You're familiar with something called Taleo?
Yes, I am.
What is that?
Taleo is a massive applicant tracking system. It's a company that basically helps companies track people and collect massive amounts of data on them. Taleo is actually the back end for a lot of systems that companies use to figure out who they want to interview, to track them while they're interviewing them. Again, it can be a useful process, but it can also be an incredibly depersonalizing process that by trying to objectify the process, we wind up missing a lot of cues that you simply can't capture that way.
So what's your recommendation to individuals who are job hunting in this environment?
My advice to them is throw your resume in the trash, stop applying for jobs online, don't consent to be metriced, if that's a word. Instead, go hang out with the kinds of people that you want to work with, hang out. Socialize with them, get to know them, show them who you are and what you can do, and get introduced to their bosses. That one-on-one approach, the reason companies...
That's like pre-internet, old-fashioned networking.
I make a living online, Brian, so I'm the last one to trash doing anything online. But when you consider, follow the money, if you will. Companies pay headhunters like me $30,000 to $40,000 to fill a position. They'll pay an online job board $50 to access 1,000 resumes. So why the delta? What they're getting from me or from any other headhunter, and I'm not promoting headhunters here, there's nothing mysterious about what we do. What they get from us is 2 or 3 highly qualified, personally checked out people who can do the work. What I say to managers all the time is, why, when you can ask a job candidate, an applicant, for virtually anything you want, why do you ask for a bunch of keywords and for a resume and a document about their history when you can ask them to show you how they would do the work profitably for you?
Thank you very much for joining us,
Brian.
both of you.